just going to turn myself off so you can see my screen full size. Okay, welcome to the specification briefing of the new QFF GCSE Health and Social Care and Childcare. Thank you so much for attending, and we're really excited to be informing you about this qualification. A lot of work has been put in to bring this to you, and we're especially thankful for all of you who have contributed during the consultation and the development. So the presentation is required to make a recording of this event. This is a control designed to ensure the WJEC is able to demonstrate compliance with regulatory conditions of recognition, specifically conditions relating to the confidentiality of assessment materials. The recording will be made available to the qualifications regulator if required, and will be published on the new qualifications page on the WJEC website. We will also provide a copy of the recording in the post-event Dropbox for delegates after this event. Please note that delegates are not permitted to make an audio or a video recording of any aspect of this event. We have collated questions that were submitted by yourselves ahead of the event, and we will address these later on in this presentation. Should you have any further questions, please use the Ask a Question facility on your screen. The event materials have been sent to your email address, the post of the pre-event, and then this PowerPoint presentation will be sent to the same address after the event. So this evening, you've got myself, Kerry Ross as the subject advisor, and Karen Bushell as the subject officer for Health and Social and Childcare. I will be presenting to you a brief overview of the new qualification with the aim to give you an introduction into the specification to support you with some planning and highlighting points for you to consider. Karen is here in the background, and she's going to be there answering any of your questions that you may have in the Q&A facility. In this presentation, all the links to all the important information and documentation are included throughout, including our subject page. You can see here that I've got the link for the specification on there as well. Okay, so this is just to show you we've got a specification walkthrough. It's available on our subject page, and it's being created to be read alongside the specification. It identifies and highlights those important details and key areas for you to be aware of, and it's really easy to use, and it gives you a clear breakdown of the specification document. Okay, so we're going to start with an overview of the qualification, how it's structured, how it's assessed, including weightings of each of the units. To note that the structure of the qualification, including how it should be assessed, is set by the regulator, Qualifications Wales approval criteria, and I've put that link on there for you to see that approval criteria. So you'll see that there are 3 units, 1 assessment unit, which is an external exam. This is set and marked by WJEC and is first available in June 2027, and the other 2 non-examination assessments are marked by the centre and moderated by WJEC. They're based on pre-release briefs that will be made available to centres in September during the 2nd year of the course of study, to be completed by the summer of the final year of study. It is a unitised qualification, which means aside from Unit 1, which is an introductory unit, there's no hierarchy implied by the order in which you teach the other 2 units or present them. Therefore, the order does not imply a prescribed teaching order. It isn't tiered, so all candidates sit the same assessment, and the qualification is first going to be awarded in the summer of 2028. Qualifications Wales delivered their first public consultation to establish what stakeholders wanted to happen to GCSEs in 2019. And from then, there was a further 2 public consultations, culminating in the approval criteria in 2024. Thank you, a huge thank you to all of you engaged in this consultation. It's greatly appreciated. This contribution helped to shape this qualification, and we're proud of the outcome and how it suits progression into A-level and beyond now, and it meets the needs of what matters in Wales's health and social care and childcare landscape. So this is a look at the qualification. It is a single award there won't be an option for a double award with this qualification going forward. It's made up of the 3 units you can see there. So you've got Unit 1. This is the Health and Social Care and Childcare for Wales in the 21st Century unit. And it's a written examination of an hour and a half, 40% of the qualification, and it makes up 80 marks. Unit 2 is the Adult Health and Social Care, and this is an NEA task for 12 hours and is 30% of the qualification. And then Unit 3 is Childcare. And again, this is 30% of the qualification. So those Unit 2 and Unit 3 make up 60% of the overall marks. GCSE qualifications are reported on an 8-point scale. So it's marked from A star to G, where A star is the highest grade you can get, and results not in attaining the minimum standard for the award be reported as a U. So the case studies for Unit 2 and 3 will be available every year in September of the awarding year, and the tasks will remain the same, but the case studies will change, and we'll go into this further down in the PowerPoint. It must be remembered that the specification outlines how the new GCSE Health and Social Care and Childcare qualification supports the curriculum for Wales. The qualification is underpinned by the qualification framework and ensures that the learners can continue to make progress towards the 4 purposes. Central to its design are the principles of progression, along with a statement of what matters, and those subject-specific skills outlined in the Designing Your Curriculum section of the Health and Wellbeing area of learning and experiences, ensuring an effective continuum of learning and progression for learners in the 14 to 16 phase. I've left the links on this page for you as well. Learners will be given the opportunity to explore human rights and diversity throughout the 3 units, including consideration of access to service provision, the impact and delivery of service provision, Black, Asian and minority ethnic perspectives, identity, culture, experiences and contributions. The main aims then. So our GCSE Health and Social Care and Childcare supports learners to understand the principles of human development, health and wellbeing, explore how the health and social care and childcare sectors support and promote the development, health and wellbeing of individuals, describe the principles, values and approaches that underpin the work of health and social care and childcare professionals in Wales, understand key conditions and illnesses in adulthood and childhood, and explore the cross-cutting themes of human rights and diversity, particularly in relation to service provision in health and social care and childcare. I won't be reading out the full specification in the evening, but I wanted to highlight to you that key information, the key points for you to be aware of. So on December the 19th, due for publication will be our SAMs, an example of a Unit 1 paper with a mark scheme. And for Unit 2 and 3, there'll be SAMs for those, and they'll include internally non-examined assessment pack, which contains these details. We've got in there a typical assignment brief and case studies, a detailed breakdown of each of the tasks, information for candidates, and this tells them those important things like what they must do and what they mustn't do when completing their assignment, a marking scheme which will be used to assess the work, and then a mark record sheet, candidate declaration form and a candidate time record sheet. And I'll be coming across these later on to show you what they look like. Guidance for teaching will be available for all 3 units. They are only in draft version at the moment, but they're going to contain examples of tasks for each of the areas of the specification and following that content amplification. And these will be available from January the 31st in time for our face-to-face events starting in February. The guidance for teaching will include further information on the opportunities provided by the qualification for teachers and centres to integrate learning experiences in delivery. It is important to note that these will not be directly assessed by teachers, will want to consider how they can integrate these into their schemes of work in order to plan for a holistic approach to integrating those cross-cutting themes and cross-curricular and integral skills. So this is a little snapshot of how you'll see the specification. I want to show you how the amplification looks on a section of the specification. So the amplification provided in that right-hand column uses the following stems. Learners should be aware of, learners should know, understand, and be able to. So learners should understand is used when learners are required to demonstrate greater depth of knowledge and understanding, application of knowledge to context, and evaluation and analysis of information. Learners should know is used when learners are required to demonstrate basic knowledge and understanding. So those are like your recall questions, your direct recall questions. And learners should be aware of is used when learners need a basic knowledge of the specified content. This does not need to be taught in detail. And this is available in the teacher's guidance for teaching to determine like the level of depth required. There's information in there for you. Learners should be able to is used where learners need to apply their knowledge and understanding, and this is seen in Units 2 and Unit 3 of the specification. The use of the word including indicates that the specified content must be taught and could be subject to assessment, and the use of words, for example, or such as, indicates the specified content is for guidance only, and alternative examples could be chosen. So an overview of the 3 units. So we've got Unit 1, Health and Social Care and Childcare in Wales in 21st Century. We've got Growth and Development, Legislation, Service Provision, and the Welsh Context. In Unit 2, focusing on adult health and social care, we've got Individual Needs and Key Conditions and Illnesses in Adulthood. How professionals work in adult health and social care to achieve positive outcomes. The roles of public health, health promotion and promoting equality, diversity and inclusion in adult health and social care in Wales. And then in Unit 3, this is the childcare unit, and this is physical, intellectual, language, emotional and social development. You'll see it's now piles rather than pies. Common conditions and illnesses of children, and how professionals work, including play and play work, to meet the needs of children in Wales to achieve positive outcomes. So Unit 1 then. Unit 1, as I said, is broken up into these 3 main sections. Purpose of this unit is to develop knowledge and understanding of the life cycle and the factors that affect growth and development, the promotion and maintenance of health and well-being, and tools that can be used to measure and support this, core principles and values underpinning by legislation and service provision within a Welsh context across the health and social care and childcare sector. So Unit 1 is, as I said, is the examination unit. The examination will be an hour and a half. It's 40% of the qualification, so 80 marks. At the moment, it's a paper-only version. This decision was made as part of the Qualifications Wales improvement criteria, and it's to support that development of putting exams onto e-format. For doing it paper-wise means it's going to just support that centres who may struggle with that. But digital assessment will be introduced within 5 years of this qualification being available, so it will eventually be a digital assessment. So it's very similar looking to what you would have seen currently on our legacy qualification. You can see here that we've got the assessment table down the bottom as well. It'll look very similar in its format to the paper. We've got AO1, AO2 and AO3. So AO1 will be demonstrating knowledge and understanding of concept, values and issues in health and social care and childcare. AO2 will be applying that knowledge and understanding of concepts, values and issues in health and social care and childcare. And then AO3, investigating, analysing and evaluating values, issues and provision in health and social care and childcare, making reasoned judgment and drawing conclusion. You can see in the bottom table here the weightings and there is more of a weighting on AO1 questions in this qualification than in the legacy. There is 9 questions overall, but they will peak and trough within those questions, and they will ramp up towards the end of the paper, as we see in our current qualification. Some more examples of some types of questions that you will see on here. We've got examples of questions and their formats. We've got an identify type style question, explain type question, and the use of graphs and images as well to help in those questions. You can see here we've got traditional band marking questions as well, with plenty of indicative content on there, and also the use of the marking scheme, again, that grid style that we see in our legacy qualification currently. The resources for Unit 1, we've got blended learning modules and knowledge organisers that are being written currently by our appointees, so teachers. They've written these knowledge organisers and the content for the blended learning. They're looking fantastic, and they will be ready bilingually by September 26. Currently in the process of being developed, but I've been looking through them and they are fantastic. They're going to be really useful for our learners. There won't be a new textbook created, but the existing textbooks will still be useful for their subject context. The content is primarily the same. Interactive blended learning that supports both teaching and learning, and these will include things like videos and useful websites, and not forgetting the guidance for teaching documentation, which will have tasks and activity suggestions for supporting yourselves. So now we can have a little look at Unit 2 and 3, the NEA tasks. So Unit 2 and 3 will be assessed through externally set assessments by WJEC. The assessment briefs will be available in September of the second year of study, to be completed by the summer of the final year of study. The units will first be awarded in 2028. Each year, the assessment structure will broadly stay the same for both units. Those tasks will stay the same. The candidates must complete all tasks individually. Group work is not allowed. Both are marked by the centre and moderated by the WJEC and must be submitted electronically. So Unit 2, for this assignment, learners are required to complete an assessment based on a choice of 2 case studies where they apply knowledge and understanding of adult health and social care. Learners may choose from one of 2 of the case studies that they would like to complete for their non-examination assessment. It's not necessary to get your whole cohort select the same case study. We encourage them to choose their own case study. Unit 3, for this assessment, learners are required to complete an assessment based on a case study and an investigation where they apply knowledge and understanding of childcare. So it's good to note here that for the content of the specification for Unit 2 and 3, this must be taught prior to starting those NEA tasks. For the exams assignment for Unit 2, you're required to complete a series of question-based tasks based on either case study A or B. So I'm going to show you an example now of actually case study A from our SAMs. You can have a look at that. And this assessment explores individual needs and key conditions and illnesses in adulthood and how professionals work in adult health and social care to achieve positive outcomes and the role of public health and health promotion in adult health and social care in Wales. Resources, so candidates must have access to the assessment pack that we'll send to you, and any necessary resources as specified in the detailed task tables within those candidate assessment packs. So supervision must be in place to ensure the authenticity of evidence produced for summative assessment. And candidates' evidence, the acceptable formats for evidence for each of these tasks is summarised in the task tables. Any modified assessment must enable the candidate to generate the evidence required in this table. So Unit 2. So Unit 2, Adult Health and Social Care, you can see those 3 points I went over early, but the focus for this is that there's types of care to meet individual needs. and achieve positive outcomes, how professionals work to meet the needs of adults' health and social care, public health and health promotion in adult health and social care, and key conditions and illnesses in adulthood. So to show you a bit about what the SAMs are going to look like, I've got some pages to go through here for you. So the Unit 2 SAMs will be full of all the information required to complete the tasks. The tasks don't change, but the case studies change each year. Access to the assessment brief must be at the start of the assessment. 12 hours of assessment starts when the centres have delivered all of that content of that unit. So the assessment, therefore, kind of comes at the end of the delivery. And it's supervised throughout the assessment. 2 hours are suggested at the front of your assessment as supervised, and that is to read through the case study and for learners to select the notes needed for those tasks. We've given you guided suggested hours, as well as key information and key suggestions for those timings. This is the example of case study A here. I'm not going to read through it because you'll have this PowerPoint. But the case study A will be linked to the content. So the case studies will always be linked to the content. And there's the same weighting on case study A and case study B. There's no difference in the marking of that. So here is also an extract of the table of contents that gives you the tasks, the evidence required, and the controls for each of those tasks. It is important that you read through these first to ensure you're fully aware of the controls for each of those tasks before starting them, like you would have done with the legacy qualification. There'll be 5 tasks for the learners to complete in Unit 2, and that's totaling in 60 marks. This is the kind of the administration part of Unit 2. So the paperwork that would be required to fill in. We tried to put as many kind of tick boxes on here as possible so that it makes it quicker for you to complete. You've got, for example, you tick the box, say which case study. Like the legacy qualification, we need signatures of the candidates and assessors that are mandatory. These can be done electronically as well. They don't have to be handwritten on because, as we said before, the Unit 2 and Unit 3 will be electronically handed in. You've got a time sheet here as well, just to record how you use those 12 hours. So Unit 3. This is the childcare unit, and this unit is going to focus on life stages, expected milestones and piles, play and play work, types of care and intervention to meet children's needs and achieve positive outcomes, how professionals work to meet children's needs, health promotion and early intervention in childcare, key conditions and illnesses in children. Layout of the paperwork will be the same as Unit 2, but there will only be, as I said earlier, 1 case study, not a choice of 2. Again, we've given you suggested timings, how you should split up your time, with other key information for you to note, including, for example, here, the assessment and the task details. Again, I put the example of the case study on here for you to see for Unit 3. And it's broken down in the same way, but there's 4 tasks for Unit 3 rather than 5 tasks, but it's still worth 60 marks. And you can see here on the task table how, again, it's split up into the task, the evidence, and the controls permitted for each of those tasks. The paperwork is generally the same, very similar format. Again, just haven't got the tick box for the A and B on there. It's the same sort of format, but you need to complete the admin for Units 2 and Unit 3. Again, this can be digital. The appendix here just shows, and which is at the back or the end of the specification, it shows you where there's opportunities for embedding elements of the curriculum for Wales. It's a useful chart for planning and mapping across the curricular links with the curriculum for Wales. The other information that you would have found in the back of the specification has now been split up into the 3 guidance for teaching documents to help support you in that way. For the resources, so our digital teams have developed resources to support the new topics, and they will be introduced within the new Made for Wales qualifications. A list of resources which will be available for the subjects below. So for Unit 1, we've got resources on growth and development, legislation and service provision, the Welsh context. And then for Unit 2, we've got individual needs and key conditions and illnesses in adulthood, how professionals work in adult health and social care to achieve positive outcomes, and the role of public health and health promotion in adult health and social care in Wales. And then physical, intellectual, language, emotional and social development, key conditions and illnesses in children, and how professionals work, including play and play work, to meet the needs of the children in Wales and achieve positive outcomes. So there'll be resources for each of those different sections. So further resources, you will see that there's on our subject page, we've already put an options parents evening flyer on there for you to use in your parents evening and options evening. We've done the specification walkthrough, which is available on our open website. We've got the publication of SAMs, as I said, coming out in December, and that'll be available for you to see and use and support your planning. Publications of the guidance for teaching is coming out in time for our face-to-face events, which will be taken in February and March. So they're preparing to teach those Pan Wales events. So detailed guidance. So we've got SAMs, guidance for teaching, approaches to teaching content and approaches to marking. In the summer term, we've got exam walkthroughs, NEA walkthroughs, and these will be pre-recorded walkthroughs showing what is expected of candidates and how their work will be assessed. They will be published on the portal so that teachers can control access to them for the learners, especially if they want to use them. If you want to use them for your SAMs as the SAMs as mocks. So new resources are currently being written as well, and they will be put onto our public website. As I said earlier, the blended learning modules, lessons with knowledge organisers for each of the areas of content. Here is the list here of the face-to-face events. The table shows the exact dates that these will be taking place. We're really looking forward to seeing you because we're going to be giving more of a deep dive into the specification, into the SAMs, looking at example questions and answers, and it'll be a really worthwhile event for you to get your teeth into this subject. Most centres now have confirmed their attendance for the face-to-face event, but not, your head teacher will have all the details of these face-to-face events, things like the dates, locations and times, anything that you need to bring with you. There will be a place reserved for every subject teacher in your school. You just need to confirm your attendance with your head teacher. So they are coordinating, this is a countrywide event. On the day, you will receive a paper copy of the PowerPoint that will go throughout the day, and there will also be resources available via a QR code and a link to the questions in the Dropbox. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the pre-submitted questions that we had given into us, and hopefully that will answer some of the questions that you may have. And then there will be an opportunity for you to put some questions, if you haven't already, into the Q&A section. As I said, this PowerPoint will be available for you, so you can then go back and have a look at some of these answers. So WJEC My Revision Notes book for the current GCSE have been crucial with planning. Will there be an alternative release in time for September to support teachers' planning as well as supporting students? So instead of a textbook, we are creating blended learning modules and knowledge organisers of all taught content. And as I said, they'll be available for first teaching in September. In order to allow centres, so yourself, to carry on using the textbooks that you've already bought for the legacy qualification, we are going to map out the content of those textbooks against the new spec as well, so that the content that you've got, you can marry up with that, so you'll know which parts are still relevant with this new qualification. So we'll put that out during next year. Will all resources be available in Welsh as soon as they are in English? Yes, resources on the website, including guidance for teaching, blended learning, options, evening flyers and knowledge organisers, they're all going to be available in Welsh if not already, as well as the English. We have our Welsh event a week today, and that's there's a lot of the Welsh content is already available for that. Do learners in my cohort pick the same case study in Unit 2? How can they work as a group to complete it? So, no, as I said, candidates have the option to pick which case study they want to do, but NEA tasks, as the legacy, they are done individually, not as a group task. How long should it take to deliver the qualification? So, page 8 of the specification states, guided learning hours, so the GCSE health and social care and childcare has been designed to be delivered within 120 to 140 guided learning hours. The qualification has been primarily designed as a 2-year programme, so for learners in year 10 and 11. The quantity of the content is comparable to the current GCSE, and the specification amplification in the specification is included to make it easier for teachers to see what exactly needs to be taught. Guidance for teaching document will further aid teachers' understanding of the depth of that content to be covered as well. So there'll be a lot of good information for you to be able to support your development of your qualification. Can WJC develop processes for cross-school moderation? So schools are required to undertake internal standardisation prior to submission of NEA, and this will ensure that all marking within centres is to the same standard. However, there's no requirement for cross-moderation with other centres. WJC's moderation process will ensure that all centres are assessed accurately and fairly. Can WJC support schools by signposting resources locally and nationally and internationally to support with the NEAs? Yeah, guidance for the NEA will be produced by the WJC as well, so we'll have that available to you. Is WJC intending to signpost Welsh medium resources support teachers with the NEA? Yeah, WJC will publish resources and they'll be available in Welsh and English. We don't endorse any other resources beyond them, either in English and Welsh, but I know there are others available. Would WJC consider amending the units to allow for a more accessible first unit? So WJC has worked to ensure that the specification content for Unit 1 reflects the qualifications approval criteria and the needs of learners across Wales. Once the assessment has been sat for the first time, it will be kept under review, but it's not expected that will require any major changes. It should be noted that we are not able to make changes to any qualifications without going through an amendment process with Qualification Wales, and centres would also require notice of any proposed changes. Would the WJC consider delaying the first teaching of this spec to support the wellbeing of teachers and help them manage their workload? So this is a regulatory decision and the timing is determined by Qualifications Wales. The specification will be for first teaching September 26th. There will be blended learning resources with detailed content and learning activities available before September 26th for you, along with knowledge organisers, and we're hoping that this will really aid that planning significantly. Will there be possibility in the future for learners to fast track the GCSE in 1 year, possibly to support students who attend college to build up their academic profile? So the specification for this has been designed to be taught over 2 years. So we're going to have a little break for 5 minutes so that we can gather some of the questions and then have a look at those for you. And then we'll come back to this presentation then with the questions and I can answer them for you. And then we'll be able to put some into the answer area for you. Just going to go back on here. Stop sharing that for a second. And I can have a little look in the Q&A chat. Okay, so just go through some of the questions that have come up in the Q&A. I know Karen's going to be answering some of them as well on there. Just to say, I forgot to say earlier that if you don't get round to answering all your questions, we are going to publish the questions with answers as well, post to this event so that you can see some of the answers. If you haven't applied for the face-to-face event, your head teacher will have the details for those face-to-face events. So you can ask your head teacher for those details. The case study, you access the case study for those 12 hours. You don't get given it before you start the 12 hours with the assessment brief. So when you do research notes need to remain in the centre between sessions. Yes, you would keep those like you did with the work for the unit 2. You know, they keep the notes in school. Are research notes allowed in the exam, and if so, what's permitted? So so the notes that you do in your lesson time when you're teaching the content of lesson 2 and 3, they can take their notes in with them. It's 6 sides of A4 paper, depending on whether they're writing or typing them. There's a question here: what do you suggest we teach in the summer of year 10 after the exam and before the release of the case studies? Well, you teach the content of unit 2 and 3, so you don't teach the tasks, you teach the content of unit 2 and 3, and then you use your notes from your unit 2 and 3 in the assessment. Just have a little look if there's any more questions. I think we've answered all of them. Yeah, resources are going to be available in September 26. You will already have your guidance for teaching available to you. You'll already have the SAMs available to you so that you can use those to create resources yourself. There's so many resources have been made. They are really good. They've been created by teachers as well, so that they're made with teachers for teachers, and they are looking really good. As the coursework, the NEA tasks are 12 hours each. Just reading some of the questions. Very concerned that both pieces of coursework so you teach your unit 1 is like an introductory unit. So you'll get a lot of the content ready for your moving into unit 2 and 3. Teachers can have a look at the case studies prior to issuing to students. Yes, one of the questions. Just going to go back and share with you my PowerPoint second. I just wanted to give you our phone number and also our contact mailbox number address, sorry, so that you can contact any one of us there to ask any more questions if you haven't wanted to ask any of the questions on here as well. There's also a QR code as well. So just if you could have a look at that, it is going to be posted as well. But if you could scan that QR code as well, please. You can access it bilingually as well. But if you could access this and fill in that survey, that'd be really helpful for us to get some feedback. Leave that for a couple of minutes, and then just remind you about the face-to-face event that you can ask your head teacher to book you onto those face-to-face events, but also about if anyone would like to do any examining with us. There are opportunities, which I'll give you the web link for that now as well. There's opportunities to become an examinator and a moderator with us. It's really good for any professional development that you may want to do. Really useful way of understanding the content of the new qualification as well. And I'll put that on there for you in a second. It's a really great way to boost your understanding and professional development as well. This, as I said, this will be available, this PowerPoint, so you can go back and have a look at that at a later stage. Just going to bring that up now. There's the QR code. Sorry, I didn't have my screen on. The QR code for the feedback for the event. And just our address there if you would like to become an examiner or a moderator for us. Just go back now and have a look if there's any more questions that come up. You need to reapply to be examiner for the new spec if you're already an examiner. I will check that out for you and get back to you with the answer, I expect. So yeah, sorry, I realised I wasn't sharing my screen for that last bit. So, but this will be available on our shortly after we finish this presentation for you to see. The PowerPoint will be sent to you on the email address that you gave out when you registered for this event. So that anything on there, I've made sure I put all those links in for you so that it's really easy for you to find it all on one PowerPoint. So like the spec and the walkthrough, and the options even and flyers, you've got it all in one place. We have now got a web page as well, so you can click on that. And if you do WJEC GCSE Health and Social Care and Childhood Care, you'll see that there's the old legacy one and then a new link, a new web page as well that you can click on with information on there, and that's going to get populated more and more with other information for you as well as time goes on. For any concerns, if you're still having trouble getting a place for the face-to-face event, please contact us on our number or our mailbox, and then we can maybe direct you into the right place as well. I'll just have a look out if there's any other questions, and then I think that's it. The initial link today is blocked by Cardiff Council. Oh, maybe you might have to. Yeah, that for the QR. If that's for the QR code, that might be that. I think some people do it on their phone so that they can access the QR code, don't they? I'll put it back up again now if you want, so you can see. The address of the website, if you type in, I'll try and type it in their box for you now so you can see it. Okay. I'll put that address in for you now. Just check any other questions. get that address on for you now as well. And that's the one for the examiner there as well. Okay, is there any more questions? Okay, so we've got the address on there for you. And I think so with units 2 and 3, you teach the content of the specification for units 2 and 3. And then you have the assignment briefs that come out in September of the second year of teaching. And the pupils use their notes for whichever case study they pick to use for their assignments. You don't kind of teach to the case study. You teach the content of unit 2 and unit 3. As I said, if we don't get to answer all your questions, we're going to collate all the questions that we've got and put them in a document for you. And we'll send that out on the email addresses that you've supplied today with when you logged on, okay? Yes, the health and social care learning in Wales. So we've got like a web address, like the current web address we've got for our legacy qualification. There'll be a new web address. There is a new web address for our this new qualification. Shall look for you now. The web address is available on our PowerPoint as well when you have the PowerPoint sent to you. Okay. I think the majority of the questions have been answered. And Karen? Feedback. Yeah, I can put the QR code on again. Yeah. A question here about would the teaching of Unit 2 and 3 happen in Year 10 or in the September of Year 11? So you can teach Unit 2 and 3 in Year 10 as well as Unit 1, or you can teach it in September of Year 11. Unit 1, though, is like an introductory unit, so you would teach that initially. You teach that first and then go into Unit 2 and 3. I'll go back to the dates as well for you, so you can have a little look at those, just so everyone can clarify the dates that that's the dates there for those that were asking about them. Okay. So we're really looking forward to seeing everybody in the live events, because I think that's going to be a good way for you to be able to, have a look at all the content and get used to it and understand it. And, it is a nice qualification that we've developed. So if there isn't any more questions, as I said, we will send all these questions out as well with answers in a document for you to have. And if there's anything in the meantime that you'd like to speak to myself or Karen about, please contact us on the number that we made available. And it's also on the web, the legacy page and the new page. And we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you for your time today that you've spent with us. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the face-to-face events. Thank you.